So, as I said, persons for various reasons work with employers in Barbados without nationals being taken out, including government.
Yeah.
Okay, but you see, if you continue to work with an employer and then things turn sour, and you go to national insurance to make a report, national insurance is going to treat it as collusion between yourself and your former employer to defraud national insurance, because you're asking national insurance not to go after contributions which should have been deducted from your salary over a period of time where you were benefiting from your full income. So you're asking national insurance not to file a case in the law court, because a case would have to be filed in the law court, okay,
Yeah.
against that employer, and that is a lot of resources that nationals will be taken up on your behalf when you continue to work with nationals not being taken out. So I want to be fair to not to the employer, because the employer is scrupulous, but that person needs to know that they've put themselves in an awkward position for national insurance to respond, represent them after they lose their job.
Okay, Mrs. Strickland, I have a follow-up question. What if the person's national insurance was being removed, but the submissions from the company wasn't being submitted and they didn't know? What
Okay,
happens in that case?
very good question. Two things. I would always advise Barbadians, whether working in government or private,
Mhm.
to check with the National Insurance Department. Now, National Insurance has a portal which is done right now because of these changes to the National Insurance legislation. It's caused mass confusion. So the portal is down now. But when the portal was up, you could you can sign on to the portal and you can check your earnings to make sure they're there. You can. I'm saying earnings. I'm using two different words also: earnings and contributions. So you have to make sure your earnings are there, or you can go to the National Insurance Department, to the customer service, to check to see if your earnings are being reported. Now,
Yes.
the employer is obligated to make the contribution payment. If the employer has not been making the contribution payment but recording the earnings, then the employee benefits. If the employer is not making the contribution payment, that's a matter between the employer and the National Insurance Department. Because if you check to see that the earnings are not reported, then National Insurance know that you are working with an individual
Yeah.
and you producing your pay slips, which the employer should be giving you by law, so that National is in a position to go to that employer, because the employers in Barbados that National would not know exist because of the building in which that business is being conducted. The building has no name. So National Insurance officers may pass that building and don't know a business is being conducted there. So when you come and you make a report, then National can go to that employer, okay, know that there's a business that and the X amount of money is owed to National Insurance, because National Insurance will then be in a position to add interest to whatever is owed, and they can also have garnish orders against the employer for the collection of those contributions. But it's the employee's responsibility to check to make sure that they're there or not, and don't wait until pensionable age or when there's a benefit then to realize that there were no earnings there for you over a period of time.
Okay, that is amazing. Guys, I hope that you're writing down. At the beginning, I told you to bring a notepad and pencil because Mr. Strickland is dropping gems. As you heard, the portal is down, so you may need to go in to do follow up questions. We have another question on the screen. If you are born a Bajan, special needs, was working and has been diagnosed disabled from childhood trauma and anxiety, should I be eligible for disability or invalidity benefits?
Okay, invalidity benefits. It would not be disability, for the simple reason that a disability benefit arises out of, or disability benefit or grant arises out of an injury on the job.
Okay.
Invalidity now is where you are, a doctor has determined that you are unable to work, but there is a special needs um, non-contributory pension.
Yeah, I saw that
So
coming up recently.
for persons who have MS, autism, Down syndrome, can't remember, I think there's one other. They were
Um,
included in the
autism.
list, autism. They were included in the list early this year, but there are other persons who have argued that their situations should be on that list also. The department has indicated that they are well, government, not department, government is examining the other cases where their organizations have made representation for their constituents so that the others may be added. But this is a non-contributory pension. It's not an invalidity, because invalidity has to be a case where you paid contributions, or disability where you paid contributions. But the non-contributory, that's a non-contributory pension, which is like for those persons who previously qualified, who are either blind or deaf or mute.
Okay, I
So they were
understand.
already getting non-contributory. These others were added earlier this year.
Thank you very much for clearing that up. I just want to make a correction. Somebody online said they just tried to access the NS portal and it's not down anymore. They were able to access it. So I
Okay.
don't know if persons who were trying to, they said it just right now, they just tried it. Adrian Hines, he just tried it.
Okay.
So anybody who is home and wants to try, as Mr. Strickland would have just walked you through the steps, you can try to access it. If you run into any difficulties, pick up the phone. Landlines work. Utilize what we have access to. Mr. Strickland, we still have a few minutes
Let
here.
me before you go any further, I want to apologize because I have not been contacting the office within the last 2 weeks because I've been very busy with church, vacation, Bible school, and so forth. So I'm glad that the portal is back up, but it will mean that you have to register, okay, online
Okay.
to go on the portal, and then you'll be able to check. Okay, I continue.
Wait, somebody asked a question just now. Okay, for anybody, Dave, can you also put a copy of the link, like the name that they can, and the link on going across the screen so persons can see bigger what they can go on to check, to register, to check their status. Somebody answer your question, Mrs. Strickland. Is cerebral palsy another condition that can apply for this benefit?
I do not think that they are included. Policy, they are not included on in the special needs list.
So, what a person that falls into that category, how can they get help?
Welfare department, that's or the National Assistance Board. Those those are the two government agencies that, based on my knowledge, that those persons can apply to. But I do not know. As I said, I don't know which of the two. But I would suggest welfare first, and then they would
Okay.
then determine whether um, they will recommend the person goes to the because depending on the age, the person may be,
Yeah.
well, it may be welfare. If the person is older, they may recommend that the person goes to the National Assistance Board.
Okay, guys, you heard it here tonight. These are steps you can take to one, get help, ask questions, follow up on your NAS payments to make sure that your NAS is being paid in as it should be, and not waiting until when you come home to realize nothing has been paid in for you. If you have any other questions, I know I may have missed some, so I'm going to scroll back up to see if I missed any others. But there's always the option to call Marcia so that she can pass on the message to Mr. Strickland and he can give you a more detailed answer if you have something that is more personal. But Mr. Strickland, what is a must know that before you leave, before you go off, that you want the opposition to know about?
Okay. I would want to say that the National Insurance Department is doing a fantastic job with the limited resources that they do have. They just had an increase in staff because compliance is it was one of the areas that really needed, because you had like one inspector for the whole of St. Lucie and part of St. Peter. What I would want persons to take their responsibility serious, especially persons who are self-employed. Um, there was legislation passed on the 1st of January 2024, um, indicating that in order for a self-employed person now to have 52 contributions, they must pay self-employed contributions of $100 a month, which is $1,200 a year. In my personal opinion, that law is illegal for the simple reason that and they would want that the trade unions, well, not the trade unions will not represent self-employed persons, but I believe that because if you're working with an employer, you pay contributions on $21 per week or more. $100 contribution per month works out to $183 in earnings per week. So while the employee can pay contribution on $21 per week, the self-employed person must pay on 183 and over. And there are many self-employed persons in Barbados who are unable to pay that amount of contributions per month per year. $1,200 is a lot of money. Okay, now the unfortunate situation is that when you reach pensionable age, if you have not worked and paid contributions to qualify for a contributory pension as a Barbadian citizen and
Yeah,
resident, you can apply for a non-contributory pension. I said you can apply.
you can apply.
The all non-contributory pensioners will be interviewed. The purpose of the interview, because you're not entitled, it's not an entitlement. Excuse me. Then it means that the question, what were you doing? How were you being supported during your lifetime between 16 and pensionable age? If you were deemed to be self-employed and not paying contributions, then it means that your claim will be referred to the National Insurance Board. And all things being equal, your claim will be disallowed. So there are, sorry about that. There
That's
are
so.
hundreds, maybe thousands of Barbadians at present who have passed 67 and
Mm-hmm.
are not receiving a pension from the National Insurance Department. Those persons are suffering badly
Mr.
because
Strickland,
in many cases, they have not kept the relationship between themselves and their family members well, especially men, and therefore, those men are at the mercy of family members, friends, the welfare department, and whoever. And I want to passionately um, ask that this matter be revisited by the government of Barbados, the National Insurance Department, in respect of self-employed persons. I know there's the need for self-employed persons to pay contributions, and I've supported that for years. But this level of payment, I think, is too high, and it's putting out of the reach of self-employed people. And as a result, when they reach pensionable age now, they are not going to receive a non-contributory pension, and therefore the state is going to have to support them through the welfare department.
question, Mr. Strickland. So, if you were previously denied, but your situation's changed, that you got sicker, maybe ill, you now have a disease where you can't help yourself, can you reapply
Okay.
and get reassessed?
Okay. In other words, when you're interviewed, you can be asked also whether you were sick during that period of time and could not work. You know what I'm saying? Because there are those persons who were homemakers, physically challenged, whatever else, that may very well qualify for the non-contributory pension. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying to you that in many cases
Yeah.
these persons were gainfully employed as a self-employed person during the period of their working life. Yes, they were sick on other occasions, but they were self-employed for more than 10 years or more, because you're looking at between 16 and 67. There's always the argument that they were working with some person, national was being deducted, and was not being paid in. That does not work. It doesn't work because you have to prove who you were working with by way of pay slips, so the national go after those employers. Many of those employers died, business closed down, you have no pay slips. So that argument that you were working with employers who were not making payments at 67, that doesn't work very well to convince the officer interviewing you that you should get. And as I said, if they are in doubt, they are not disallowing your claim. They're taking
Yeah.
information from you, submit it to the board, to the National Insurance Board, and it's the board that disallows your benefits. So the board comprises representatives from the Barbados Employers Confederation, representing the employers of Barbados, the two trade unions representing the employees of Barbados, the chief labor officer, because it's a social security scheme, the director of finance, because it's a finance institution, and the 3 political appointees on the National Insurance Board. So in other words, it's the board that makes the decision to disallow that claim, and not the National Insurance staff. It's the
Okay.
board that makes that decision. The staff person interviewing take the information and pass it on for decision to be made down the road. If they, in their opinion, you qualify, they would approve it. But if they're in doubt, they're going to send it straight to the board. And then you can appeal against that decision. So that's one of the things, that's the one I think that is critical at this present moment for self-employed person to make payments. Make payments once you can afford to make the payments, so you secure yourself. Now, there was a question that came the last time I was on the program, before you forget. The person was asking in relation to a private pension plan. This person is receiving a pension from a private pension plan. They're receiving a pension from the National Insurance Department. The question was whether they would have to pay income tax on both. Once the combination of the pensions exceed $40,000, well, then they have to pay BRA pension. So once you're getting one or combination of pensions which exceed their limit, then you need there have been organizations fighting to have that eliminated, but that has not happened as yet.
It seems like things in Barbados are moving very, very slowly, while people needing to move a little bit quicker. Mr. Strickland, as I said, you're dropping some gems and people are asking so many questions. Somebody said that they missed what you had said about MS and they wanted to know if that person can apply. They just want you to confirm that.
Yes, that person can
Yeah,
apply. They would need to get
they
a letter from their doctor.
saw your message.
The caregiver would have to get a letter from the doctor. Then there's the person, there's the person who has MS need to have a national insurance number. If they never had a national insurance number, the caregiver, the person who is responsible would then fill the non-contributory application form, which has to be signed by a justice of the peace. They need to have a direct deposit form so that the money can go onto a bank account. Okay. So, and then National will process that benefit. But they can go to the disabilities unit for any clarification, or they can go to the National Insurance Department. But that MS is one of the ones included in the special non-contributory grant.
Mrs. Strickland, I know we're speaking about this non-contributory grant, but we didn't indicate what happens with a parent who is doing this for a child and if they can apply to get assistance in this manner. Because we are speaking I think from what I'm understanding, this is as an adult person. But what if the parent is handling this for a person who is, I guess, not work, what would not be in the age range to work, but they need this assistance to help because they can't work because they're home as the person taking care of the person with MS or autism.
No, okay. There's as I said, those are the ones that are now getting that non-contributory pension, which is $230 per week. But they, along with others who are not on the list, for many years, that has been the argument that there's a caregiver who cannot work.
Yes.
And there was no support ne that individual because the welfare department, based on my knowledge, was not providing any support for that caregiver. Okay. And it was extremely hard. Those now have been given an ease, but still there are many others who are in categories which have not been included, and they are suffering because they can't work. So they have to depend on another family member to support both of them, the caregiver and the person who is suffering. Okay. And with all of, and this has existed now through the generations under both governments. It has existed under both governments. And I think that in the manifestos that are being developed right now, this needs to be looked at so that they can clearly state that if return to government or succeeding in government that is under the DLP, because I am not partisan, then this will be that these persons will be given support and given support through the National Insurance Department, even if the monies, because non-contributory pension is paid out of the Treasury, not out of the National Insurance Fund. Let me clear that up. The non-contributory pension is paid out of the treasury. It's paid from the National Insurance Department, but the treasury has to refund the national insurance. So in the manifestos, then it means that they can approve that these persons be given support through the non-contributory pension fund,
Okay.
through national non-contributory, and therefore those categories can then know that the caregivers can have some kind of support, even if it's not the $230 per week. The non-contributory pensions are receiving some kind of assistance, because I think it is critical at this present moment.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. That is why I gave that follow up question. We have another question here that I don't want to miss. Could you tell me what happens to all of the money from the persons that paid into the system but died and never withdrew the pension? The lawyer
Um,
opposition are asking some good questions tonight, Mrs. Strickland. I hope that
okay, but no, I do agree, and this question has been asked on the program before, and I will answer now. Social security schemes across the world operate in this manner because there are those, we have an Asian population, we have a falling birth rate. National insurance only has X pool from which to draw to pay benefits and to pay pensions. Now, so it means that with us having an Asian population, we are paying pensioners. We have I think the second largest number of centenarians per capita in the world, and therefore, you have persons sometimes who might be in the receipt of a invalidity pension at age 30 and live to age 90. That person is receiving a lot of contributions. They're the persons who, because of the number of persons now self-employed, are not paying contributions, and the small number of persons who are working. It means that those who worked never received the benefit and die. That falls into the pool of those to help those who um, hardly worked and received up to that age. Those persons are all Barbadian and Barbadian citizens. Those persons are either my mother, my aunt, there's some relative to me. So if I am to have the benefit from that I made the payment, it means that the rate of contribution may have to be raised so that those persons who are receiving invalidity pension, maternity, and whatever, because when you're paying a contribution of 12% in contributions, and you're receiving 100% in maternity benefit, and if you're going to add paternity benefit to that, National Fund will go broke. That's the reality. It's not about defending the department. This is a reality. So we have over 40,000 pensioners that we pay every month. Over 40,000 pensioners. National receives over 5,000 new claims every month. It's a very heavy expense on the National Fund. And we do know that we had over $5.70 billion, and $1.70 billion was written off by the present administration. So that's the situation. Money's National is invested, because if you keep the money in the bank, you're receiving less than 1% interest on the money in the bank. Okay, so these are the dynamics in relation to that particular question. It's not an easy answer, but those are the dynamics that relate to that particular question.
Mrs. Strickland, I don't know if you heard my comment, but I said we need to write back for that money they wrote off, because in this time it is hard. But something you mentioned, and I want to ask a question to carry it that way. How do you think the government should handle new people coming into the system in the working age and making sure, as you said, the entrepreneurs pay? Should they do an information session going into the tertiary level education units, the skill areas where they're training to let them know signing up for NS is important. This is how it helps you. This is how it protects you. Because are the numbers low? That is the
Shukwana,
low.
Shukwana, your question is one of the most important questions. I am speaking slowly because I do presentations and I've done them free of cost. Every year for Teachers Professional Day, I speak at different schools. I have spoken on numerous occasions where we We have the career showcase every year for secondary school children, and in many cases, they are the school leavers. National should
Yes.
have a booth at the career showcase, passing out application forms to school leavers. Um, the guidance counselors in Barbados. I spoke to the Guidance Council Association of Barbados. I did a lecture for them. I asked them why don't they invite national insurance officers in, or even invite me in to speak to school leavers. We have a couple of thousand children that left school just 2 weeks ago. Many of them are going into the job market straight. They're not going to further tertiary education. They have to go straight into work. They know nothing about national insurance.
I
We
can
have
tell.
BMX, we have ArgoFest, we have the Women Showcase. There's so many functions in Barbados where we have entrepreneurs who are present. There should be a booth national sets up with literature
Yes.
educating those persons, because you have persons that are present rather than national insurance sending officers down to the fisheries complex. They did recently. I applaud them of some of what they're doing, but they're
Yeah.
missing the mark big time.
They're
Okay,
missing the
because
person.
the actual study of 2022 indicated that 1 out of 8 self-employed people in Barbados are actually paying contributions. And
That is
since the 8%, even from the 8% pay cut days where there was a lot of downsizing and merging from COVID also, many persons have now become self-employed because employers now have made them self-employed with contract of services rather than employing them. So we nationals need to target, and these are easy areas of educating. I do the Yes program also. I did the Yes program with the entrepreneurs. Just recently, every cohort of the Yes program, I speak to them. Okay, but there are other things within the Ministry of Youth that they have individuals who are self-employed, whatever. But I don't know that they have someone who will speak to them. Okay, so as much as they are providing means of self-employment to be entrepreneurs, then they're not educating them in respect of national insurance. They need for their responsibility in national insurance. I can only say that much. I am available to be a consultant with the National Insurance Department to do legislation, to do lectures. But I say point blank, I don't belong to political parties. I I don't have a degree, so I may not qualify to be a consultant. But I'm saying that I have made myself available to the Marcia Show and to other things to educate Barbadians on their entitlements, but also their responsibility to access their entitlement when the time comes.
Mr. Strickland, you said something that I just want to knock out of your thought process. You don't have a degree, so you can't educate. Let me stop you right
No,
there.
no, 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 no,
You
no.
have,
I said I will not be employed.
Mr. Strickland, no, I stopping you right there. Opposition, let us stop him. Let put stop in the comments. We're not agreeing with him. All of the gems that he would have given us in this hour, the only degree he would need to educate the public, the opposition of Barbados, is the degree to talk. We calling out organizations tonight. BAS, he has called you, invite him. I heard you call the Guidance Coastal Association. Them is have them every single year because I've spoken at some before as well. They have spaces, they have booths, and they go at every school. They do the big one where you could come online just in this format. So don't let our children go out there unprepared. I have too many young people coming to my interviews, not knowing what the NAS card is, not knowing what Thomas is. They also have that issue where they cannot apply for Thomas because they're between 16 and 17. I have to go up to Mr. Griffith's office in St. John so he can do it. I have too many issues with young people trying to get jobs and don't know how to go through the process of getting an NAS card. Mr. Strickland, I had a young man
Shaquana,
go to NAS
Shaquana,
and come home not laminated with the card. They told him the lamination machine was down, so laminated when he get home.
Shaquana, let me say something to you. I, while working at National Insurance and while retired, I have had cases where I had a case where I was supposed to do a presentation at the foundation school PTA,
My alma
and
mater.
an officer from the National Insurance Department called the president of the foundation school PTA, and there were other situations where a person was called and told that I was not given clearance to do the presentation. I'm doing a free presentation to an organization, and you have persons in national insurance who sought to block me. I was part of the St. Lucie Constituency Council under the DLP, okay, representing the church, Shakwana,
Yeah.
and I was doing a lecture at a church in St. Lucie, and JS was given a call, and they tried to block me from doing that call. So when I say to you, right, I know what I'm talking about, and I speak without contradiction that in order to qualify, I may need to have a degree. You want to say that's all I can say to you. I do agree with you what you are saying, because any person at Alexander School when Jeff Bruns was there and Miss Willoughby was the guidance counselor, I used to do the performance every year. I used to do Alma Paris. So I'm saying to you that I've had my opportunities, but for some reason, maybe I may need to belong to a political party or to have a degree in order to be given free reign to do some of these things and to be paid by whatever else. This is a reality. I'm not
Mrs.
making it up. It is
On
straight.
the week show here with the opposition, you don't need any degree to come and give
No,
us
no,
knowledge.
but I've been
But
speaking now,
we appreciate
but
every
yeah,
single
and
comment.
I will always come. I
Yeah,
will
we're
always
gonna
come.
invite you back because you have so many comments unanswered, and I'm gonna send some of these people to reach out to Marcia to send the questions. Monica, unfortunately, I can't read your comment because we have to go on to Mr. Lewis, but Mr. Strickland, as I told you through your whole presentation, absolute gems. I made so many notes and I have so many unread questions because we just don't have enough time. But I
I
know that
know.
you're going to come back because people want to know how to get these things handled and clearly they don't know where to go. So it was a pleasure to have you and I'm going to see you soon.
God willing, yes. Thank you. Have a pleasant night.
No